Every town has its secrets, but some are buried so deep, so carefully hidden, that even the oldest residents claim they don't remember them. Raven's Hollow was one of those places. An old town on the edge of nowhere, swallowed by woods that seemed to stretch forever. Few ever visited, fewer stayed, and those who did kept their heads down. On the outskirts of this forgotten town stood a house. Weathered by storms, scarred by time, its wooden frame leaned like a tired old man. Windows cracked, shutters swayed in the wind, and the front door hung crooked on rusted hinges. To the townsfolk, it wasn't just a house. It was a wound, a place whispered about in bars, warned about at bedtime. No one claimed it, no one wanted to, until the Whitmore family. Emma and David Whitmore moved there with their daughter Lily after inheriting the property from a distant relative no one had ever mentioned. To them, the house was an opportunity, a chance to start fresh, away from the chaos of the city. They told themselves the creaks and groans were just the voice of an old home settling. They told themselves the strange drafts were nothing more than cracks in the walls. They told themselves a lot of things. For 2 nights, it was just a house. On the 3rd night, while sorting through the attic, Emma stumbled upon an old trunk wedged behind broken furniture. The wood was blackened with age, the metal clasps nearly rusted shut. When she pried it open, the smell of dust and decay spilled out. Inside lay faded photographs, moth-eaten scraps of fabric, and a book. It was bound in cracked leather, strangely warm to the touch, and covered in symbols that seemed to shimmer faintly in the candlelight. The title, pressed in fading gold, was just legible: The Forgotten Ritual. Emma hesitated before calling David. He was fascinated instantly, lifting it carefully, running his fingers over the strange cover. The pages were filled with sketches, symbols and circles, patterns of candles, and lines of archaic English that barely made sense. At the back of the book, scrawled in jagged letters, was a warning. Do not attempt the right unless the words are perfect. Do not falter. Do not forget. They laughed it off, though uneasily. It was probably some Gothic nonsense. At least, that's what they told themselves. At dinner that night, Lily teased her parents about the book. "What if we actually tried it?" she asked, smirking. Emma shook her head. But David, who had always loved ghost stories, raised an eyebrow. "Why not? At worst, nothing happens." His words were careless. His smile was forced. Yet curiosity is a curse stronger than caution. And so, just past midnight, they began. The living room was cleared of furniture. The air was heavy, thick, as though the house itself knew what was coming. They lit candles, tracing symbols from the book onto the wooden floor with chalk. The designs spread outward in strange, curling patterns that made their eyes ache if they stared too long. Lily stood in the center, holding the book. Her hands shook as she began to read. The words were twisted, jagged, foreign sounds that scratched at her throat as she spoke them. The shadows seemed to lean closer, listening. Halfway through, her voice faltered. She stumbled on a word, mispronounced it. The flames of the candles snapped upward, stretching high and thin. David chuckled nervously. "It's fine, honey. Just keep going." But the book had been clear. Do not falter. The air dropped to freezing. Breath puffed white from their lips. The shadows on the walls stretched unnaturally, bending and twisting into grotesque shapes. The wooden floor beneath the chalk circle began to darken, as though ink was seeping through from below. Then came the voice, a whisper, thin and hollow, curling from the circle itself. "You have called, but not with respect." Emma gripped Lily's hand tight. David's nervous smile was gone now. His eyes darted around the room. "It's just a trick," he whispered, though his voice trembled. The candles died all at once. The room plunged into suffocating darkness. And then came the sound. Slow, deliberate, the scrape of nails dragging across the floorboards. David scrambled for matches, striking one with shaking hands. In the flicker of light, he saw the book trembling, its pages fluttering though there was no wind. The leather cover bulged outward like something alive was straining to get free. And then it split open. The thing that emerged was not of this world. It was tall, skeletal, grotesque. Its face wasn't a face at all, but a shifting blur of screaming mouths. Its chest was hollow, a gaping cavity that seemed to breathe. In its hands, claws of living shadow dripped like ink, and its eyes burned faintly red, glowing like dying embers. It moved with impossible speed. With a shriek of voices layered atop one another, it lunged at David. Claws pierced his chest. The sickening crunch of bone echoed through the room. Blood sprayed across the chalk circle as the creature yanked free his still-beating heart, holding it aloft as if in triumph. Emma screamed and pulled Lily back, but the creature turned its many mouths toward her. Its voices hissed in unison. One heart for the door, two more to seal the bond. It struck again. Emma gasped as its claws ripped through her chest. She collapsed into the pool of blood spreading across the floor, her eyes wide and unblinking. It struck again. Emma gasped as its claws ripped through her chest. She collapsed into the pool of blood spreading across the floor, her eyes wide and unblinking. Lily ran, slipping on the slick boards, scrambling up the stairs. Behind her, the monster didn't rush. It followed with deliberate steps, whispering promises in her ears. "The final heart will be mine." She slammed the attic door, pressing her body against it, sobbing. But through the wood came the scratching of claws, the sound of breathing that wasn't human, and finally, laughter. Hollow, endless. When neighbors finally entered the Whitmore house days later, they found no bodies. No sign of Emma, no sign of David, no sign of Lily, only a ritual circle drawn in chalk and 3 crude hearts, smeared in dried blood. And there, in the center, lay the book, closed, silent, waiting. Some say if you open it now, you can still hear the faint beating of the hearts it claimed. So, the Whitmore family was never seen again, their hearts claimed by something older than the town itself. The house still stands, silent and rotting, its windows watching the road like empty eyes. And the book? It waits, patient, for the next curious soul brave or foolish enough to open its cover. If you're hearing this now, remember one thing. The ritual doesn't need to be read aloud. It only needs to be heard. So tell me, did you listen too closely tonight? Like this video, share it with someone who dares. Subscribe if you're brave enough. And whatever you do, don't look behind you.